We get lots of phone calls and letters from readers asking for a mathematical formula so that they can build four-sided objects with tapering beveled sides. The problem with that is even after you come up with the formula and the correct answer down to the 5th decimal point, you still have to translate that into Tablesaw settings, and there's no guarantee that those formulas are going to give you the right numbers in the real world. So what we've done is come up with a no-math method of achieving tapered beveled sides in four-sided objects. To make one, we'll start out with a very simple jig. It's nothing more than a big slab of MDF that's oversized for the test pieces that we're going to be cutting. As you can see, we've got just enough room on the ends here and on the back side here to attach side and end stops. But beyond that, it's all very flexible. You don't need to worry about getting this exactly centered. We couldn't have made this any easier. The first thing we're going to do is cut a 45-degree bevel on this edge. We're starting out at 45 degrees because it's a common angle that's easy for you to find on your table saw. We can fine-tune it later if we need to. The next thing that we're going to do is mark the tops and bottoms of our test pieces. First thing to do is find the center of both the top and the bottom. Then, knowing what your top width is going to be and your bottom width is going to be, divide those numbers in half and measure that distance from the center to both sides. That'll give you your top width and your bottom width. Now that you know your top and your bottom width, it's time to add the bevels going down to the other face. Place your pencil against one of the marks that define the width of the top on the outside. Slide your 45-degree bevel over and mark from the top to the bottom, just like that. Now on the other side, do the same thing. Place your pencil on the end, right where that inside mark is. Slide the bevel up against it and mark from the top to the bottom. Now it's time to position one of your test workpieces, the jig. What you're going to do is align these bevel marks here with the bevel on the jig, because your saw will come up here and cut right where your mark is. You'll notice we only marked one of these. Once you get your stop set, that's all you need. The stops will determine the rest of it without marking, both on your test pieces and on your work pieces. Now it's time to add the edge and the end stops. For those, I've selected plywood. An advantage to plywood is that it is slightly thinner than the material that I'm working with. And that'll come in handy later when I clamp down on these hold downs, because if this were the same thickness, I wouldn't get as good a grip. Now in your situation, you may have plywood that is about the same thickness as your workpiece. In that case, just attach some adhesive back sandpaper to the underside here, and that'll give you a little bit of a grip to hold the workpiece down. So after double checking my bevels and centering my workpiece, I'm going to add the long stop that goes against this edge. Now one thing you'll notice about each of these stops is that I've placed a line along one edge of it that's in contact with the workpieces. The reason for that is that you're going to be putting these on and taking them off repeatedly in the process of cutting two different bevels and then switching back to cutting two bevels on your workpieces. By knowing which edge always goes up against the workpiece, you avoid the problem of off-center holes throwing off the alignment of the workpiece. Now I'm ready to cut the first bevel on the first workpiece. You'll notice that an advantage of this jig is that the shape of the bevel and the top of the jig here eliminates any tear out on the underside. Two things about working with MDF: it's heavy, so you're going to need some outfeed support to bear the weight of both the MDF sled and the MDF test pieces. After you've aligned your stops for the first workpiece, all the others just sort of slide into position without further adjustments on the jig or further markings on the workpieces. Now that we've cut 4 bevels on our 4 test pieces, it's time to realign the jig to cut the bevels on the opposite sides. To do that, retrieve the piece that you cut first that has your bevel markings on the top and the bottom. To realign the jig, first remove the stops at the ends and the long side here. You'll notice I'm taking extra care to make sure that I don't switch these end pieces. Again, you want to reproduce this not only on your 4 test pieces, but between your 4 test pieces and the 4 pieces you'll actually cut for your project. Now, one thing I'm going to do before I continue is mark the holes that I created in the process of making this first cut. I want to be absolutely sure that there's no mix-up in the positioning of these stops. To reposition the stops, do just like you did before. And this time, you're aligning the bottom bevel against this edge and the top bevel against the edge down here. Now you'll notice that this isn't going to hit this beveled edge perfectly, but that doesn't really matter, because the important thing is that all of your pieces are going to hit this stop consistently. With the stops in place and your workpiece in position, it's time to make the first of the second set of cuts here. And that's it. We have 4 test pieces with bevel tapers on both sides. Now it's time to tape them together for a test fit to see how well our 45-degree saw angle worked. The moment of truth comes when you close up this 4th side and you have an opportunity to see if this has opened up gaps either on the outside or the inside. Now, just a quick word about gaps. It'll be almost impossible to do this without having a tiny bit of a gap, so I would recommend using an epoxy adhesive. The trick is where that gap occurs. Now, if you get perfect angles, fine, then everything works out. What you want to avoid is a gap that forms on the outside. And I've just pulled these apart to show you what happens if the inside corners meet before the outside corners do. Fortunately, that hasn't happened here. We've got nice snug corners on the outside on all 4 sides. The question is, how am I doing on the inside? And the answer is pretty good. I've got a nice tight joint here. So I think my 45-degree angle has served me pretty well as far as making good tapered bevels here.